नहीं नहीं। ओ अच्छा, ठीक है फिर इसको बंद कर दो, फिर ये चाहिए नहीं हो, मैं इसी से काम चलाता हूँ यहाँ पर शायद। राकेश, हाँ दिखा तो रहे यार, उधर उधर कोने में।
হ্যাঁ হ্যালো, লিংক পাঠিয়ে দিয়েছি, তুমি খোলো।
हाँ
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, হোয়াটসঅ্যাপে।
ये
এবার সরেন্দ্রকে বলুন শুরু করতে। প্রশান্ত বাবু,
হ্যাঁ
সরেন্দ্র কই?
হ্যাঁ আমি শুরু করব।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ অবশ্যই। আকাশ বাবুকে একবার বলে দাও।
আকাশ বাবু,
yes please start.
May I start? Okay,
yes please.
Thank you so much. Okay, respected principal madam, our esteemed guest speaker Dr. Ganguly, my respected participants, dear colleagues, and my dear students. It is indeed our pleasure to welcome everyone to this national webinar organized by the Department of Library, GCM College of Education, by the initiatives of our respected convener and librarian, Mr. Prashanto Kumar Mondol, and organizing secretary, Dr. Paramita Bandyopadhyay. The topic for the day's webinar is Digital Transformation of Learning Resource Center for Futuristic Learning. A very pertinent,
Dr. Chandra.
a very
হ্যালো, মিউট হয়ে গেছে।
sorry আমি প্রথম থেকে আরেকবার করছি, I'm sorry, mute ছিল। Okay, respected principal madam, our esteemed guest speaker Dr. Ganguly, my dear participants, my dear colleagues and students, it is indeed our pleasure to welcome everyone to this national webinar organized by the Department of Library, GCM College of Education, by the initiatives of our respected convener and librarian, Mr. Prashanto Kumar Mondol, and organizing secretary, Dr. Paramita Bandyopadhyay. The topic for the day's webinar is Digital Transformation of Learning Resource Center for Futuristic Learning, a very pertinent area of research and development in the present era of digitization. At the beginning, I would like to request our respected principal madam, Dr. Shreyashi Paltasing, to kindly deliver the welcome address. Madam.
Okay, thank you, Sarindri.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. A very good morning to all of you and warm greetings on behalf of me and the institution as well. I'm really privileged to have the pleasant task of welcoming all the distinguished academicians to the national webinar entitled Digital Transformation of Learning Resource Center for Futuristic Learning, organized by our college, Gopal Chandra Memorial College of Education, which is one of the pioneer government-aided teachers training college of West Bengal. At the beginning, I am sorry to say that our chief patron and Honorable GB President, Mrs. Chandrima Bhattacharya Madam, couldn't attend the webinar. She could not be present here because of her busy schedule. As we all know, she is in a very important position and minister in charge of so many important portfolios for which she could not be present here. But she has sent a message to all of us, and I think our host, Mr. Akash Mandal. He will make it listen to everybody. And at the actually last night at 11 p.m. she called me to say that she could not be present. Actually, she was keenly interested to be present, but because of her assembly session, she couldn't make it, and we are missing her here. I warmly and respectfully welcome our chief speaker and the keynote speaker, Dr. Shantanu Ganguly, Chief Librarian, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. With a profound and dynamic work experience, he has excelled in the field of knowledge networking, knowledge management, value analysis, library and information center management, social media marketing, and digital marketing. I am sure that we will be enriched a lot through his deliberations today. I have great pleasure in welcoming you, sir, to this webinar. And I'm really thankful to you for accepting our invitation. On behalf of all our students, non-teaching staff, and faculty members, I extend a warm welcome to one and all participants, and I'm sure all the participants will have enriching experience through the deliberation of our esteemed resource person. It is gratifying to note that due to the coronavirus pandemic, the adoption of digital means in education has accelerated at a very high rate. Educational institutes around the world are facing innumerable challenges due to the growing impact of digitalization, which is altering the expectations from faculties, staff, and students. Digital transformation, which was considered as an important aspect and the probable way forward, is now considered essential, and adoption of digital technologies and methodologies is now a must for educational institutions. Nobody ever imagined that education sector across the world would undergo such a paradigm shift, with online studying and virtual teaching being our only option to ensure education continuity. Perhaps the gradual shift towards this digitalization could have been envisaged as a result of an evolving technology landscape over a period of time, but no one could have ever imagined that a virus could make this happen. The world is yet to come out from the COVID-19 crisis, and therefore we can expect that the education industry is bound to face many more challenges in the near future. The shift towards digital transformation is not a short-term phenomenon, but it is rather a growing trend. It is said that with every crisis comes an opportunity. One thing is clear, that the education sector will never go back to its pre-pandemic era. The time has come to let go of the past, re-examine the present, and move on to the new normal. Education sector should undergo an extensive digital transformation to be able to meet the needs of the young generation and their digitalized future. The COVID-19 pandemic has suddenly and abruptly forced the education sector to engage in such a transformation. I'm sure that this webinar will provide a good platform to exchange ideas with each other in this regard. I welcome you all once again and also thank everyone for sparing their valuable time to be with us today and for extending their support and make this webinar a success. My welcome address will not be completed without extending my thanks to Mr. Prashanta Kumar Mondal, our librarian and convener of this webinar, Organizing Secretary Dr. Paramita Bandyopadhyay, Moderator Dr. Sairendra Sen, and all other faculty members for their support and cooperation in organizing this webinar. Thank you all once again. over to Dr. Sairendra Sen for coordinating the next session. Thank you all.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. We were about to have amongst us our respected President of Governing Body, GCM College of Education, and Chief Patron, Mrs. Chandra Bhattacharya, Honorable Health Minister and Family Welfare Government of West Bengal. But unfortunately, she is not being able to be present at the occasion. So she has sent her a voice, through voice message, she has sent her presidential address. So I now request Akash sir to kindly play her presidential address.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to know that Gopal Chandra Memorial College of Education, New Barakpur, is organizing a national webinar on digital transformation of Learning Resource Center for futuristic learning. This is an esteemed institution which has been working exceptionally well. It is a pride for me to preside the governing body of this institution. To keep pace with the growing modern system, it is highly necessary to venture upon digital systems, and today's webinar will deliberate upon the digital transformation of Learning Resource Center with an eye towards futuristic learning. I'm sure that the deliberations will give a clear picture of the path to be paved for this. I apologize for not being present in the virtual webinar today due to my legislative duty. I wish the webinar a great success. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, and we are missing you in the webinar. Let us now continue. I now invite the convener of this webinar and librarian of GCM College of Education, Mr. Prashant Kumar Mondol, sir, to kindly introduce us to the theme of the webinar. Sir.
Thank you, Sairendra madam.
Thank you, sir.
May I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible. Please continue.
Good morning to everyone. Now, the webinar topic is digital transformation of Learning Resource Center for futuristic learning. I am sharing my views. I'd like to take a moment to address the current situation that we are in. The reason we are doing this on a webinar, I am sure all of you have attended many webinars in the last few months because of COVID-19 situation. In every crisis, there is an opportunity. We never waste a crisis because it gives a chance to think about things very differently, because the paradigm has changed. Today to the next few years, how we will study, how we will work, all has changed. Today campuses are shut, tomorrow they may open, but still we will have issues like social distancing. Now digital tool has become a part of our lives. Now we will use more and more of these tools, more and more digital data to start with. In a small statement, in 1998, when Google was born, the entire internet size was of a few terabytes. Today, we are talking in yottabytes, which is 10 to the 24. In 1998, the entire internet was smaller than even Nexus's entire data set, which was 6 terabytes, and dialogue was of 9 terabytes, and Library of Congress was at 20 terabytes. So, from there to now, we have seen a massive change in technology and change how we live our life. in this current situation, how technology is required in education today. And as librarians, this is a very important aspect for us. You know, all the size of terabytes that I mentioned, all those services or services used by the librarians. The point here is that the libraries went digital far before the internet. We got these search interfaces, retrieval interfaces that we have today. The world of retrieval information has changed very rapidly, and we must look at education holistically, not just the library, and think about how, as librarians, we can lead the charge of this change, bringing from more digital into education. Information seekers get their information online, often filtered through for-profit platforms. If a book is not online, it's as if it does not exist. Yet, mass of modern knowledge still exists only on the printed page, stored in libraries. Libraries have not met this digital demand, stemmed by cost, e-book restriction, policy risks, and missing infrastructure. The Internet Archive, working with library partners, proposes bringing millions of books online through purchase or digitization, widely used in libraries and classrooms. Libraries with the rich special collections must distill catalogs and digitize their books. But the large swath of public domain works has largely been digitized twice in the last 10 years, once by the libraries working with Google and on by the libraries collaborating with the Internet Archive. Google has been much more in its scope, but unfortunately limited access to the Google Books through Hathi Trust, and public can download books one at a time through the Google Books website. Internet Archives has 28 regional scanning centers in Asia. Through the Asian Super Scanning Center, the Internet Archive can offer partners at a cost savings of 50 to 60% for those willing to scan large quantities of books and have them out of circulation for several months. The Internet Archives books are available in bulk and for free public access. Libraries can take a giant step forward in the digital era by lending purchased and digital ebooks. The Internet Archive digital ebooks lending system, same as traditional library systems. One reader at a time can borrow a book and others must wait for that one to be returned manually. Alternatively, after 2 weeks, the book is automatically returned and is offered to any waiting patrons. The technical protection mechanism used to ensure access to only one reader at a time are the same technology used by the publisher to protect their in-print ebooks. How would we circulate the digital ebooks? Some libraries are integrating links into their library catalogs, so information about the digital versions and physical copies are side by side in the same record. Libraries can always link to the copy in the Internet Archive's open library. Libraries can also store their own digital copies and administer their own lending system. Several open source digital library software packages are now available, which could facilitate the easy creation and sharing of information through digital library collections. For example, Greenstone Digital Library Software, academic research in Netherlands, online ARND, Tilburg University, CDS Wire, CERN Document Server Software, DSS, MIT Libraries, etc. How does Greenstone Digital Library Software work? Greenstone is a freely available software for building and distributing the digital library collections. It provides a new way of organizing information and publishing it on the internet or on the CD-ROM. The Greenstone is issued under the terms of the GNU General Public License. The aim of the software is to empower the users, particularly in the university and college libraries and other public service institutions, to build digital libraries. The software has lot of features such as multi-platform ability for Windows and Linux, access to distribute through the internet and CD-ROM, powerful indexing from full text, and creation of indexes for various metadata, powerful search and browse. In support of different file format like HTML, PDF, doc, RTF, PPT, etc., extensibility by allowing the customization and configuration. Greenstone also allows the building of non-textual multimedia such as audio, video, and pictures accompanied by the textual description to allow for searching and browsing. Today's learners seek knowledge online. We must enable all library patrons to borrow ebooks via their portable devices by searching the web or by browsing online library catalogs. By working together, thousands of libraries can unlock analog collection for a new generation of learners, enabling digital access to millions of books now beyond the disk. The central goal for future learners to have access to all books without physical constraints and could be realized for millions of people worldwide. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your introductory address. It is now time to introduce our esteemed guest speaker, Dr. Shantanu Ganguly, who will deliver the keynote address. Dr. Ganguly is a profoundly qualified and experienced professional. He works as a chief librarian in B.B. Dixit Library, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. He has a very long and a very explicit profile, which I would like to read. He's a result-oriented professional having exceptional intellectual capacities with over 28 years of experience in knowledge management, capability management, or building project management, reporting and documentation, change management, resource management, and much more. Sir is an expert in leadership in developing the organization's knowledge management strategy in close collaboration with the peer group members, the program and grant managers, including strategy for a roadmap for implementation. He is a veteran in prudently planning and developing the annual work plan for the knowledge management outcome area in a collaborative manner and in support of the organization's logic model. He has developed a unique model of DAVE, data analytics and visualization experience. Having expertise in data and research storytelling, he has imparted training and support to program teams and partners for knowledge management document management, workflow process management, knowledge transfer and exchange technologies, and other learning material. He happens to hold the distinction of conceptualizing and implementing the capability development program and working towards making the organization more effective and productive. He has expertise in conducting profound research and generating valuable content and managing the same to accomplish desired organizational goals, and in supervising the analytical work and documentation as per the regulations and various regulatory authorities, preparing SOPs and relevant documents, as well as undertaking analytical method validation. He is an effective communicator with excellent relationship building and interpersonal skills, a recipient of national and international accolades. He has also authored several books and research papers. Sir, it is indeed our pleasure and honor to have you amongst us today. I request you to kindly take over the session and deliver your valuable discourse. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sarindri Sen, for
Thank you, sir.
introduction. And first of all, at the outset, let me take this opportunity to thank Prashanto and everybody for uh, giving me this opportunity to interact with all of you. And it's indeed as a great pleasure for me to be with all of you and all. And I am always nostalgic. I'm not from Calcutta, but I am always nostalgic to Calcutta. Whenever I get a chance, I don't miss it, unless and until there are some pressing commitments and all. Just now, I got to receive a call from the director office. So, I mean, it's a COVID period, so we need a lot of informations and such kind of a thing. Now, Dr. Shreyashi, thank you very much, Dr. Prashanto, and all my esteemed participants. Today, my presentation, just let me share my screen first. Uh, just let me know whether you can see my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah,
yes, sir, it's visible.
Is it
It's very
visible to
well.
all of you?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So my presentation is going to be on a digital transformation in information sector. Well, I have just taken over as the Chief Librarian of All India Institute of Medical Sciences. I'm sure you know that is one of the biggest institution in the country in the healthcare sector. I've just stepped in. Whereas whatever I would be talking from my own personal experiences, and as well as in previously I was with the Terry, a renowned organization in the field of energy and environment sector. So probably some of the examples I will be talking on that. So that's what my brief about my presentation. Now, first thing is that, see, I changed the next slide. Just want to confirm. Can you see my next slide also?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just
Absolutely.
okay. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So one of the important thing, let me tell you, is that Alvin Toffler, who is a very renowned futuristic model, he said, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So this is a very important. In fact, today, when we all of us are sitting together here, in fact, I am going to learn a lot. I am going to unlearn a lot from your discussions, and I'm going to relearn a lot. I'm sure the same thing happens with all of you also. See, during 2017, the entire digitization was somewhere at the periphery. But if you look at from 2020 onwards today, the entire digital component is the main core today. And because of, thanks to pandemic, that it has made it much more robust and much more evinced on this particular aspect. So what is most important today, it is that, just as esteemed madams before me also already expressed, that we need to have and embrace the digital transformation. And digital transformation means in total. Now, if we are working in a library sector, and in fact, I'm talking from my own experience, I think it's a high time for all of us to cross the border, see what is happening outside the library block. It is no more you can sit on your four walls and look into only the library aspect. I think it is a high time for go beyond that. So it's a very, very important aspect on that. I came across a very interesting book by James Canton, who talked about the future smart, where he said that he asked a very fundamental question in today's context, that are you a game changer? Because today when we see, because there are certain verticals he has talked about, like you have a connected transportation which will be safe. Now you have a connected what you call connected networks will be find the solutions, connected enterprises, connected governments, connected technologies, connected entrepreneurs, connected education, and each one of them which he has as a visualization, which he has visualized almost a decade back, and today it's all happening, and it is all happening in India. So I would request each one of you to please go through this book. This is a very, very interesting book by James Canton and all. It was an eye-opening for at least for myself. So when I'm talking about a game changers in a leading a fast-changing world, so what's exactly the game changer means? Game changer means only 10 ways to change your game, provide the structure of the program. The first thing is think, change your vision document, explore, change your market, disrupt, change your strategy, inspire, change your brand, design, change your business, resonate, change your story when you are communicating something, enable, change your experience, mobilize, change your relationship, sustain, change your impact, amplify, change your potential. So these are almost a 10 commandments. If you really you want to bring in a change in your entire system, what is basically called as a change management, and also if you are looking at the entire transformation as a major component. One of the important component, I mean, I am talking in a library perspective, whether you call it or whether you call it as a organization perspective. When you are talking, digital transformation is all about creating a digital experience for your customers, because this is what very, very important. Now when you talk about a customers, not it is the customers where you buy the things, but the customers who are your stakeholders basically. We need to understand that, because they are there, so that's why you are there. If they are not there, so you are not there. So it's a very straightforward formula of that. So it is very important to understand that itself. So what changes in the digital era? So it is the reach has gone beyond the level. We need to understand, because if people are reaching out to the far and wide, that's a very, very important thing to understand. Speed has picked up. Today you are working on something and suddenly you find out there is something you need more, so immediately it takes a different lips, it goes lips and bound. That's a very important thing. So if you change the reach and the speed, then you change the scale also. The entire scale gets changed dramatically. So that's a very, very important area to be looked into. What changes in the digital organization? Habits of customers may change, but their interest and needs are similar. It is similar to understand their expectations. So the question is how we identify the opportunities and we detect the threats. So there is always a opportunities when you, because when you do, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, but what is you don't know, what are the opportunities? How do you identify the opportunities and what are the threats which are lying on? So there are 5 key areas where you should concentrate when you are talking about a digital transformation in your organization perspective. So most important thing is content. Clients identified with a purpose or a mission that transcends the business. See, whichever user or whichever client or whichever customer comes to your institution at that particular point, please remember he's coming for a purpose. He has a mission to accomplish, which will translate into a complete business for him. So you need to understand and you have to provide the right content at the right time to the right format. So this is a very, very important component to understand. Second is speed. Clients expect reaction capacity in terms of action and communication, because today in this particular virtual world, everything they need immediate. It can't be, you keep on, lagging on that. So it's not an important thing. It's not good thing. Another is transparency. Detect and correct the error before the client does it. And we always make a mistakes on that. I think we need to, we need to concentrate on this particular aspect. Suppose, for example, you are looking for a particular information, you are looking for a particular thing and you are providing it. You know that there are some mistake, there are things. Please accept it. Don't say no, by mistake it has gone. But there is, because unless and until you do a mistakes, there is always, please remember, there is always a room for improvisation. We need to understand that. So you have to, you know, be transparent in your thought process and in your deliverables also. Fourth is your innovation. Being the best category is not enough in a highly competitive market. So what is exactly the innovation you are bringing in your thing? So these things. And let me tell you, friends, that when I was heading the, the knowledge management division of Terry, which is my previous organizations, where these things, because I brought a complete digital transformation in that institution. So these things were very mandatory, and each one of us have to, each one of my team members, they have to go through all these components. So this, I'm not talking just for the sake of talking, but I have experienced all of them. Performance in the digital world, everything can be measured, and corrected at every moment. So it is not that how much you are accomplishing, it can easily it can be, we can measure that. So actual sense, if you are digitizing a book or a digitizing an article or a digitizing or any piece of paper, getting your articles on what you call a PDF file and all, that is actually not digital transformation. Please remember, that is not at all digital transformation. Actually, in a library field today, what I have experienced is, from my very small knowledge, that we are at a digital kindergarten. Even we have not gone into that kind of digital transformations what we are. It is so there is a very important vertical which you need to understand. One is digitization, another is digitalization, and another is digital transformation, and each one of them is interlinked with each other. Probably we are at digitization state, not even at a digitalization state. Digitalization means where the process gets digitalized, everything is digitalized, the entire process, entire system gets digitalized. And digital transformation is a much more enterprise level, where everything is digital and everything comes into digital platform. So that's a very important thing to understand. So as far as the digital transformation is concerned, and when I'm doing a lot of events on this particular area, one of the important components is this capital T. Why I'm saying a capital T? Because this capital T means, on one hand, it is the content, another is the context, and the third is the technology. Content means it is the data and the knowledge. Content means it is the organizational perspective. And technology, what is the existing or emerging technologies which is facilitating the content and the context. So technology comes very late, but first is the content, second is the context. So CCT is the most important thing. You remember, in childhood we used to do this, and this is a very interesting concept which started by Steve Jobs. I'm sure you can make out from the picture itself, connecting the dots. Now, when you start connecting the dots, each and every number, so you get a entire picture of the Steve Jobs and all. This particular symbol is basically one of the thing which talks about connecting the dots. Because why? Because you are connecting the people. You are connecting the people for what? The content and the context. And technology, which is it is a platform for you. Okay. So it is content, context, and technology. So CCT is the most important thing today. Two guys, this is the WhatsApp headquartered in California. Two guys called Yan Koum and Brian Acton, once again in a garage, they created the entire concept of what you called it as the uh, WhatsApp model. And today it is completely, I think each one of us know that it is completely revolutionized this entire world. So when we are talking about from different perspective, organization perspective, enterprise perspective, or a library perspective, what is your transformation strategy? That's a very important thing to understand. We need to re-engineer our vision. If we have developed a vision document, even for a library or an organization or enterprise, I think we have to do a lot of re-engineering of the vision. Unless and until we do it, it is not possible to create another vision document. So where you also need is, probably you have developed it for 2020, vision 2030 is coming. So you have to look beyond. So what would be there in the vision 2050? So therein you need a strategic planning for organizational transformation. Like, what would be the engagement model? What would be the organizational effectiveness? What would be the execution? How it is going to be executed? What would be the borderless impact? Because of the digital technology, people are not within their four walls, but they have gone beyond that. So borderless impact would be there. And fifth is the culture. So there is a radical change in the culture of the people, all the stakeholders, or the customer is taking place. So we need to understand that also. That should be also part of your strategic document. It is very important. See, everything cannot be done only by the library people or by others. I think, I used to do it in my previous organization. In my current organization also, we debate and discuss with subject domain experts, and it is extremely important. Because see, all the subject domain experts who are there in your institution, respective institutions, they are your actual customers or stakeholders. So you should be well aware of what they are asking for. So this is a very, very important thing. We need to understand that. Now, so the most important classical question I'm asking to all of you, what kind of smart we are, you see the word called smart we are talking about, which is completely in the context of digital transformation today. I define the word, these five words in smart like this: whatever you are proposing for your enterprise, it should be sustainable, it should be measurable, it should be achievable. Don't think anything out of the blue. You can think of, I'm not saying that idea should be dead, but yes, you should capture the idea, no doubt about it, but it should be achievable also. Because every organization, every institution has their own constraints also. How much it would be reliable, and what is the transformational model. Because today you are, because technology obsolescence is so high, today you are working on something and tomorrow it may change, so you may have to change the platform or the entire model you have to change. So you need to understand those things. So it's a very, very important component for you to understand all of them. That's a very important thing. uh, then there are four pillars of success. Whether you are in an information center, there are four major pillars. First, engaging the customers, meaning people who are coming to your library and all, your stakeholders, get engaged with them. It is not that you give a issue, you do a typical issue return. No, you became an engagement model. You have to find out with them. Empowering the employees, because every staff what you have, they are empowered with certain qualities, certain strengths, and everybody has got a certain insight. So you need to understand that. Optimizing the operations, because this is a very, very important area. In some of the institutions, I find I'm facing a lot of problem that there is a lot of operations are there, or some methodologies which have been followed which are age old. So probably I think you need to revisit them and relook at it and see how that is happening. So that's a very, very important area where you need to look at in a much more better way. And then whatever knowledge products you are bringing in, you have to bring in a transformation there also. So ultimately, it is the people. If you in a digital transformation, please remember, when you bringing in a digital transformation, there is a people to people connectivity. If you provide a best service, rest of the world will come to know. If you provide a what service, rest of the world will come to know. It's as simple as that. So people to people connectivity is very strong nowadays. A synchronization and a pattern exist. Everybody has a synchronization, everybody follow a path. So you need to understand what is that path follow, then only you can speed up, and then only you can travel in that level. So it is such kind of a thing you have to develop. So people is the most important component in your organization, and this is the most difficult part also. Please remember, it is not a very easy thing to deal with the human resource, but ultimately you have a people from within the organization and people those who are outside the organization. So you have to deal with both. I'm talking about both because I have been doing this in my previous institution. So what is most important in today's context is you have to develop the people analytics. There are several, I mentioned that everything is measurable. So there are certain analytics or models are there where you need to get into the nitty-gritties of each and every, how people are connectivity, how people are working on it. So those things have to be looked into. As far as people is concerned, one of the important component is sentiment analysis. So what is it exactly? Today's context, when you see the customer, anything which you buy, say for example from Amazon or Flipkart and all, you basically buy everything, and you, before buying it, you go through the review which are given. Now, as a library professional, what we used to do earlier is we generally used to take only the good feedbacks, remove the bad ones. But that concept is completely gone now. When you are dealing with the people's sentiment, you have to take both good and the bad. Good, they are always saying good things, but bad is not is a negative thing. Take bad as a point for your improvisation. So probably you have to take it, if you want to improve in your operations, if you want to improve in your services and all, probably you have to take the bad ones. That's a very important thing to understand. So both positive and negative is the part of the sentiment analytics, and there are models which are available on a sentiment analytics and all. I can't go very deep into that because it's a very powerful system you need to develop. And then so you need to analyze which one is good and which one is bad, basically. Another component after people immediately comes is your process. That's an organizational operational optimization. It is just based on five W and one H. That is where, why, who, when, what. Just give an answer to that. And last is how. That is the methodology. If you are able to address your problem, your issues, your any concerns based on this 5W and 1H, I think you have done your day. But this is very, very difficult to get an answer out of it. It is very simple to say, but very difficult to that. So generally, this is a model which I use in my own system, and where 5W, 1H has given me a lot of, uh, solutions for many of the things. Another component is your products. When you talk about a digital transformation from an information sector point of view, people are looking for smart knowledge. In fact, I'm very sorry to say, currently, when we find that the different library science courses which are taught to different people, they forget to teach them what kind of content strategy they should follow. I'll tell you, there is one of the important component. There was a New Scientist magazine, April 2017, they came out with a very special issue called What is Knowledge? I would request the entire August gathering to please go through this particular issue. This will give you a complete different scenario that what would be your smart knowledge. See, people today, they want everything on digital, but the kind of content they are looking for, probably you have been not doing it enough. So you may have to rethink over it. It's a very, very important thing to get into on all those things. Very important. Okay. So it's a very important thing. You have to understand that. So please remember, this is a very, very important aspect of this. Um, then your technology. Technology is a very, very important, because it is ultimately it is the platform which is very important, because platform, unless and until you have a very robust platform, you cannot look into it, because technology is a very, very important thing. But technology, it is simple way. I talked about CCT, and this is PPT. So technology also comes. So technology is always there, but please remember, technology is a facilitator actually. There is a lot of enterprise mobility is taking. Everybody is developing apps, and everything is developing. And nowadays, because of the digital platform, every resources are available on your mobile and all, and it is accessible to that. So all the resources and e-enabled e-based services are accessible using the mobile app and everything. Package services on the desktop you can provide. So these are some of the optimization or the kind of specialized services you can bring in your systems and all. We used to provide a lot of customized services and all. Special apps can be developed to listen to subscribe talks by experts. In fact, one of the important component which is coming up, in fact, I'm planning to implement it in my institution, in current institution also, what is called as podcast. Podcast is a very, very important thing in today. You take a 1 minute bite from one of your speaker, he will talk about it and you post it. There are podcast apps are available free of cost. See, cost is not the factor. It is not cost which is the factor. The factor is your insights, your thoughts, which is important. How you are bringing in the thing into the system. Package resources for desk research. It is not the you provide him the SDI service, current awareness service, list of journals, content page of the journals, content page of the book. Those are days are gone. Those are far gone days. You have to provide them a package resources for this. So the most important thing is that your stakeholders within the organization is a very, very important thing. Very, very important thing. So stakeholder within the organization. So you need to understand them very much. Now, for everything, whatever you have, you need to have a resource analytics. You have to have a users analytics. You have to bring in the quality analytics. You have to bring in the web analytics. You have to bring in the social media analytics, and you have to bring in the game analytics. Because whatever you are providing, that's why I talk about smart, sustainable, measurable, achievable, reliable, transformational. When I talk about measurable, every resource or every activity which you are doing, it should be measured. It should be measured that how much, which is the best one and which is the worst one, which I have to remove, or maybe the improvisation can take place. You did everything for your institutions and everything. What went wrong? People are not taking. You have developed a website. People are not taking it. In our case, like for example, minimal user adoption. We did. There are several projects which are failed because I was the project leader for many years projects. Also, there is a content deluge. Too many repositories. Business needs changed. I mean, the funding organization, I do a lot of funded projects. So the business needs changed. So how do I change myself? And there is a lack of ROI to support. So the most important thing, I'll suggest to all of you to please read a book, which is a kind of a Bible for me. It's by Professor Vijay Govindarajan. Professor Vijay Govindarajan is one of the strategy and innovation professor of Harvard Business School. And he came out with a very simple solution, a framework called three-box solution. He says, you manage the present, selectively forget the past, and create the future. In fact, in one of the, I think, I think your principal ma'am talked about this only. So what is most important thing is, in fact, he has discussed on this particular thing that how do you manage the present? So it has to be data driven, strict accountability for the results, and the perfect alignment with the requirement of the people. So it's a very, very important thing to understand. So he has given a complete framework on that. And if you start putting and customize it and start putting your things, I'm sure you will get an answer to it. So I would request each one of you to please go through this book. It's an amazing book written by on three box solutions. So the most important thing, you have prepared a DCM, what is called a digital content management. So you prepare, we built it through GSDL. I think Prashanto talked about GSDL, DSpace, ePrints, archive, and all. Everything was prepared. We did it in Terry. We developed it, but they didn't come because we were measuring and we found that there was a very limited use of the resources were there. So it's time to hit the reset on the DCM. So I think our DCM model was not working. So we need to work a lot on that particular area. So it is not negative. It is the thing is that we are bringing an improvisation in the system itself. So into leading application, so allowing DCM to be transparent to the end user while creating more value from content, and that is being managed. So we are embedding the DCM system into the entire enterprise level. It is not just creating a website or so, but we are bringing in a lot of changes in the entire system and all. We need to recreate the context by connecting processes with the content. So how new resources are basically getting into it, new things are getting valuation. What is basically important is the valuation. Valuation is created on the context and the content part. Is a very, very important component on that area. And then we measuring the ROI, the return on investment and all. Once again, so it's a continuous process. Whether I would say it's a continuous process. Then we need to discuss and develop a data management plan. So we need to have a DMP, what is called a data management plan. Every organization, institution should develop a data management plan. Now, this is what is data management planning is. Data sharing and archive, data backup and security, and there is. Now, when you define a data management plan, I think it is a lot of expertise, trainings, and other things will be required, and you can go very deep into it because it is extremely one of the important component as far as the data is concerned. It's not a very easy thing to do. And when in today's context, when we talk about data, it is not the numerical data which used to have in our mind, but it is the textual data also. That's also very important for us. I'll give you an example of a new normal, that is the post-COVID scenario of Terry Library. When I mean, before I mean, during the COVID period, I was in Terry. So there was a really, we were all working from home. So there is an equitable access for all the Terry researchers to get the access from the Terry's knowledge base. We have library resources like online journals, online databases, digitized in-house resources. These are all equitable access to everybody was given to them. So it came as a savior for every researcher of Terry. But in addition to that, since we also developed, since my expertise on knowledge management system implementation, so all the projects which are completed by Terry, they were there. All the proposals were there, and a bag of content for the completion of the projects were also kept. There are several resources related to, the several resources related to projects were also there. So so it came as a savior for the entire fraternity of Terry, that these resources are accessible for all of them. So there is a today, I mean, in Terry, we had around 1,200 researchers who can access their resources from their home. And even in, and it's a very robust system accessible through intranet. It has a multi-factor authentication and a high secure cloud-based resources. So it is very secure and very system, and it can be accessed from anytime, anywhere. That's the thing. Uh, Even our social media platform were also, very active, like Terry Facebook, Terry LinkedIn, Terry Twitter, and all. They were very active, and a lot of resources were there. So they were also integrated with that itself. One of the important breakthrough, some of the breakthroughs where which we have done, we capturing the project photographs, which is a very, very important system, and we built in the knowledge management system in there. We had a very strong bandwidth of KM communication. I personally was handling the entire KM communication model there. We did a bundle of research data. There is a huge amount of primary and secondary data across Terry was available. So we captured all of them and put together at one place. And one of the important, since we do a lot of projects, so one of the important thing is capturing the lessons learned. So these are the four verticals where I was directly involved in it, apart from implementation of the entire knowledge management system, capturing the lessons, a video capture of different project experiences of the Terry researchers. So that was, we have done that. So equitable access to resources like integration with the project management system, knowledge resource center, which is basically the library part, interconnectivity with the media, the other interconnectivity with the external media also, like your social media and all. And there is a plugin, basically 24 into 7. So there are other resource, other small silo systems were there. So on through intranet, one can get connected. And now I came to know that in Terry, we are bringing into all of them together at a one particular model, integrated knowledge management system model. We are coming up with that. There was an engagement model. I mean, 100% online engagement. Researchers' engagement in various activities can be monitored. That's a very thing. Like, for example, people can say, and not doing any work, but the thing is that people can say, yes, I am very engaged. So in the knowledge management system itself, and along with the project management system, we developed an entire engagement model. It was completely analytics based, where we can easily find out that which person is working, engaged how much and for how long. And so that the other person who is free, he can be given that assignment and all. So we can find out the engagement model of that. Then is the SWOT analysis. We did a complete, when we were implementing the knowledge management system, we did a SWOT analysis. One of the thing is that in the strength was that we reduce the carbon footprint. So that is what basically digitalization to digital transformation. So less amount of paperwork was there, more on digital. Infrastructure was one of the important component, because sometimes, like for example, bandwidth and all sometimes really create a big problem. So if the connectivity is not there, so your whatever you develop a system, it is of no use. So that's a thing. Sometimes we also face that many of my colleagues who are working from the different remotest areas, they have to come back to a certain hotel or some places where the proper bandwidth is there. So that's problem we have faced a lot. So availability and comfortability is a very important thing. That is I mean, I'm sitting at home, and I can work 24 into 7 from there. So even on the weekdays also, I find that the people can respond back to you. And One of the important is cost of energy has grown manyfold. That was a very important thing. Well, the office is not working, but please remember the cost of work. If you are working at home continuous basis, your AC is working, your electrical points are working, your laptop is working, and some other devices are working, so your cost of energy bill may also increase. So that's another thing we have got into. So that kind of sort analysis, because Terry being an energy enterprise, so we worked on those areas also. Meeting with the clients was very easy, very easy and seamless. So we are getting connected to globally, and all the people from Germany, UK, anybody, anytime can get engaged. New clients in the market emerged because of the digital presence. A lot of new people came up, so we started working with them on different projects, and a paradigm shift took place from digital services based projects are identified. So since it is completely, many of the conventional system were completely converted into digital system, and we were started providing all those services to them. I'll touch upon a quickly one of the important component when a digital transfer is digital marketing is. So actually what we find that from our own experience, I think it is right time to board the bus of the digital marketing now, because unless and until you have the digital marketing strategy at one particular place, you won't be able to do. And when I'm talking about, so before talking, let me give you why I'm talking about this. I came across a very interesting book by Alex Pantlan. His nickname is Sandy. He wrote a book on social physics. You must be, why Sandy is talking about a social physics. What does it mean? So he says that social word came from the society. So we are basically into a society where more community oriented and all. When we is talking about relating it to the physics, in physics there is a
Sorry, sir, for interrupting. Actually, your audio is not actually hearable. We cannot hear you, sir.
The screen has frozen as well.
Ah, yes. Hello, sir. Hello, Dr. Ganguly. Hello. Please unmute yourself, sir.
Can you see my presentation?
Yeah.
Yes, now
Can you
it is
see my
visible.
presentation?
Yes, yes, of
Okay.
course.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's what basically the Alex Pentland has talked about. Then social media marketing is basically when we talk about the Facebook marketing, Twitter marketing, Instagram marketing, and the blog marketing. Now, when I'm talking about the marketing, digital marketing, first important thing is that lead to customer conversion rate. Means we need to understand this complexity of this, digital marketing component. These are little very interesting, and I would request all of you to join a course which was started free of cost by, COL, Commonwealth of Learning. In fact, my friend Dr. Sanjay Mishra has just started. So there are 2-day courses taking place from on 8th and 9th. So I would request all of you to join and understand what is exactly this digital marketing or social media marketing is. It's a very complicated area. It is not a very simple thing. So what is most important thing is how many social interactions are taking. So there are ways and means to, to measure that. That's a very important thing. There is a social media page views, then how many people are visiting to your social media pages which you have created, which has got a rich content and also something. And what is the page ranking? How do you measure the page ranking, whether it is an organic site or not? How many people have looked into it? How many, I mean, based on the content, where your where your site comes, where your particular web page or social media page comes. So that's a very important thing to understand. Organic search, like what are the search engine optimization you should use so that the external stakeholders are able to enter in your your domain. That's a very important thing. How many of them are unique visitors? I mean, they are not visiting every day, but how many of them are unique visitors? How much time they are spending on the site? That's another important component. I mean, you should have a stopwatch to see that how much time they have spent on my site. So if you have got a engaging content, so obviously people would spend a more time on your site. How many people have page views? So that's a number of instances. How many people, I mean, based on the you can use even Google Analytics, or there is a platform called Hootsuite where you can use all these things, where these models, and you can get all the page views and all. Who are the countries from where they have logged in into, those things can be easily done. How many of them came back? So you have a engaging content in your entire website or social media platforms. So how many people have come back? That's a very important thing. It is not once in a blue moon they are coming. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm asking that how many people have come back. And there is a referral traffic growth. That's also a very important thing, that the metric cover changes in referral. I mean, so I mean, which are the other websites or social media platforms have given link to your institutions or your organization or your department's linking. So that's called as a referral traffic growth. So you should see that also. So all the like-minded organization who are working in that area, you should get connected to them and linked with them also. So that's a very important thing. Highest traffic pages, because please remember that you have to measure this is very, very important. Like for example, which particular page has got the highest hit and which one has got the less hit. So that's a very important to understand. And traffic by devices also. Well, people looking into computer, looking into tab, looking into mobile. So all these things can be done. So people are working from home or working from their offices, or from their any public IPs. One can easily find out, and there are mechanisms by which you can find it out. And it is very important, if you are developing a website or a social media platforms and all, you need to understand all of them. What is the total indexed pages? Like for example, the metric tells you how many pages on your site are indexed with search engines. So that's a very important thing. Landing pages are there, highest percentage of visits are there. And what are those uh, I mean, like for example, when you write a particular thing on a Google, you have seen that there are certain level of ranking comes. Some of the sites are comes first and some of the sites come later. So that's basically how you have indexed your entire website or content or social media platform. So that's a very interesting research area also. Customer sentiment is a very important thing, but I already mentioned that sentiment analytics is a very important thing. Who are your subscribers? Basically automatic updates, who are subscribing it, they want to receive an email or not, that kind of a website. So it is very engaging. You have to develop whatever you are developing, it has to be a very engagement model. Who are the visitors and the demographics? Who are the visitors who are coming there, the curated content and everything. And then reinforce the learning technology with a human touch. So whatever you are develop, please remember your stakeholders are completely spread within the organization and outside the organizations. So if you are reinforcing the learning technology, in fact, there is a very new concept which has come up. If you go through the the NEP 2020, the National Education Policy 2020, one of the major component is Education 4.0, where more of collaborative platforms, more of different kinds of digital technologies, integration of resources into the pedagogy, these things are coming up in a very, very big way. And it is not by the only the teaching model, but it is more on learning by doing. It has to be more practical, action oriented, and result oriented. That kind of things you have to develop. So library has to play a very big role into that. Video has revolutionized completely. I'm sure you all understand that. And currently, 1 minute video can create a huge impact everywhere. Just this person, I came across a very interesting case study. His name is basically Lau Barton. People call him a sweet Lau. Basically, he is said to be the father of the video for YouTube. And he, in 2005, he completely revolutionized, and he said it is going to be the thing today in the thing. And he has helped, and 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 he has, suggested the entire, even Google and everybody, that what kind of YouTube thing should come out so that people are going to use maximum. People want to use maximum of that. So people call him or given him a nickname called Sweet Law, and you can see about him and go through his credentials also in the website itself. Sweet Law is a very his talks are very interesting also. Sweet Law. So there is a study. Lou Barton himself has taken up this study, and he says 95% viewers retain when you do video marketing. 88% needs more time, and 157% the traffic growth increases. So even if you put a content, probably your content should have more visualization. Your content should have more small stories. But even if you create a small story with the help of a small 1 minute video, it will have a very big impact on it. So this is very, very interesting to when you develop your own social media model, or your website model and all. It's a very important thing. So the user journey is nothing more than a series of questions that must be answered. And please remember, behind every tweet, every share, and every purchase, there is a person like you and me. So before you put anything anywhere, please remember, please try to rethink or revisit how the other person is going to perceive that matter, how that other person is going to look at the matter. That's a very important thing. So put your customers' needs first, make them hero. So when you talk about a content marketing, please remember two important things are: one is brand, and another is what customers want. These two are integrated with each other. It is, if you prepare a document, that document should have a right content, create your own branding of that, and then you put it out so that people have a very, people are, so this is a very interesting, their development in their mind, that yes, my such and such document came, so it would be useful for them, so I need to look at that kind of a document. So there are 6 factors for when you develop a content marketing. One is document content strategy. Have someone in charge of the content. Consistency in publishing the content. It is not that once in a blue moon you have developed. No, there should be somebody on a continuous basis should do it. Map content to the journey. So there is a start and there is an end. So a content should have a complete write-up. In fact, there should be, in fact, I don't find, in fact, I've been telling this to, large number of institutions in their library science, and when I'm teaching and telling their students that they should map a proper quality content development model, or quality content development study material should be developed. It is not a very easy thing to develop that. I mean, and another is a track the content ROI. That's also very, I mean, regular basis. You are spending some money on the content itself, and or a time you are spending, but ultimately, if you are not getting the results, so that's the picture of mine which you see there. That I have done so much, so I'm putting a hand like this and say, where am I? Why I'm not getting the return? So you need to find out the return on investment and all. There are some free social media analytical tools I have suggested in this. I'll share my presentation with all of you. Please go through it, and probably you can use some of this. In fact, when I teach social media, I think it takes a lot of time for me to, get into the nitty-gritties of each one of them. I can show you those things also. So what is my, appeal to this entire August gathering? Please, tomorrow, you also could be a digipreneur, a digital entrepreneur. I coined the name as digipreneur. So because you are into a new digital world. So I came across a very interesting book. I'm sure all of you must be knowing this, by Thomas Friedman. The book was written "The World is Flat: A Brief History of the 21st Century," where he has written, "Never before in the history of the planet have so many people on their own had the ability to find so much information about so many things and about so many other people." So it's a, you can see, he was delivering a talk at Davos, so where he talked about that how what is it exactly is happening in the connected world. So I started with James Canton's Smart Future, and I'm ending it here with the Thomas Friedman's The World is Flat. So that's it. I think it's time for me to go for a cup of coffee. Thank you very much, and please be in touch, and please be safe also.
Thank you, sir. This is a really an enlightening lecture that we had, and in an area which is very little known to us. And in fact, we are all very thankful to you for having enlightened us with such valuable information. I would now like to request my colleagues, Dr. Arun Kumar Borai, Mr. Shishir Kumar Sharkar, Mr. Kaushik Mondol, Mr. Bapun Singh, and Ms. Ritapa Acharya to kindly conduct the question answer round.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Also, thank you, Sir Dr. Shantanu Ganguly. So long we have been listening to Dr. Shantanu Ganguly about digital transformation of Learning Resource Center for Futuristic Learning. Thank you, sir, for your valuable information. Now, some questions has been arisen from the participant in the chat box. Now, sir, I am requesting you to clarify the queries of the participant. Sir, your first question is, although internet penetration in India has grown up from 27% to 50% in last few years. So, how soon can we expect the transformation to cover the entire nation, acknowledging the fact that India is such a populous country?
I didn't get the question. What is?
Yes,
can
sir?
you just come back once again? I'm unable to hear the question.
I'm just telling you.
I could understand there is a increase in the internet from 27% to 50%. Internet penetration. So what is the question is?
The question is this: how soon can we expect the transformation to cover the entire India?
So that's a very open-ended question somebody has asked. So it is very difficult. I'm not a policy maker. He has asked a wrong person this question. See, every organization, every institutions, they have just started the movement. So it takes its own pace of time. And India is a developing country. We have our own constraints. We have own constraint in resources. We have, I mean, when I'm talk about resources, we have a constraint in resources in several areas. So slowly it will be, coming up. It is not just on for one fine morning that I will say that it will take place. But yes, there is a radical change is taken place, and some of the radical changes we have already evinced in the last few months when the COVID was taken place. Those who have never used IT applications, they have also started working on IT. Let me give you, I think that's itself is a transformation, and the entire transformation starts from home. Like, for example, let me tell you, my father, who's an 88-year-old, because he's a teacher in English language for the students. And the classical part is that since he cannot come out from the residence. So he started taking classes through this laptop. So I would say, I think the transformation has started. And what is the time period, and it is a continuous process. Frankly, the thing is that it is a continuous process. It is not a one time process.
Thank you, sir, for clarifying the participant queries. Now, I request.
Can you read out the name of the people also?
Sir, Shubhadeep Sadhu Khan.
No, name of the person who is asking the question. I want to know that.
Sir, Shubhadeep Sadhu Khan.
Okay.
Sir, you can see in the chat box also.
Okay.
Now, I request our respected colleague, Mr. Kaushik Mondol, to ask the queries of the participant from the YouTube chat box.
There is a question from Rituparna Nath. Sir, nowadays, because of digital learning, the children are forced to go through the online classes, discarding the school environment. Can this effect can be considered to be positive enough to be encouraged to be a medium for the future continuously? Well, I think currently my daughter also is doing her entire schooling through the digital environment only. In fact, the schools also started from today, from yesterday onwards. But there is a very minuscule people are going to the school because still the fear is there. Fear of COVID is there, and especially the new mutant variety and all. So, but I think it is not harming uh, it is not disrupting the studies of the children. Probably the school have to equip themselves into new kind of technology platforms, new kind of technology solutions for delivering the digital learning to the people. In fact, in fact, I know that there are a large number of institutions and organizations in the country, schools specifically, they have implemented very advanced models of education, learning, and all everything through this method. Another question is Joita Chaudhuri. What strategies can be taken in the schooling system of our country to implement these futuristic learning models, keeping in mind the India's diverse socioeconomic structures? I think, Joita, the best thing is that you need to discuss this with your principal. It is need of the hour. If the institution or the organization or your school principal should understand that this is going to be the new normal. So they have to come up with a solution like this. It is not going to be the same conventional method and all. Probably at one go, they cannot have all the technologies on board. They may have several other technologies. It is not that in one day you will ask for everything on your system. It's not possible. And especially like in Delhi, I know in many of the rural sector children also, the Delhi government is taking an extra initiative, especially Mr. Manish Sisodia is taking an extra initiative to provide them all kind of these technologies and other things, and to do the online thing. And in fact, in Terry, I have seen that we have done a couple of projects on these areas, providing them all kind of resources, teachings to the teachers. We are, in fact, we are providing a lot of training to the teachers also. So there is a lot of TOT is required. Lot of TOT is required. That's a very important thing.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Uh,
Hello, sir.
Yep.
Hello.
Sir, thank you, sir, again on behalf of GCM College of Education. One of our participants, Sriyanka Pal, want to know the meaning of the term social physics, or how we can explain the term social physics.
Well, this is a social physics. This particular term was taken. It is a combination of two words. One is social means society, and physics is a physics. Now, what Professor Alex Pentland or Sandy has done. See, he wants to find out the usage of social media by the different communities in the society. So he is a professor from MIT. So he developed a device, and he got hold of some of his PhD students. He generally takes 5 PhD students, and they have implanted that small device, a nano device, inside some of the mobile phones. Now, that particular phone basically measures two things. What is the kind of, the kind of discussions they are doing on social media platforms? That's the measure. What is the kind of content they are writing? What are the kind of communities they are engaged with that? So it's a basically what we say is it's a kind of a social, social engagement model was done. So that's why give it a name of social. Other part is that the physics. Now, what he came across when he did the study and the survey, I would request you to please go through that entire book, where he came across that in, that's, remember in physics we have read that particular thing, that idea, energy is neither created nor destroyed, but it is transformed from one form to another. This is a law of conservation of energy. So he came out with a concept called law of conservation of idea. So where just replacing the word that from replacing the word of energy into idea, and he has written, idea is neither created nor destroyed, but it is transformed from one form to another. So that is the component he has written. So I would request you, in fact, he has developed a complete framework, a complete structure is given in that book. And I would request you to please go through it. It's not a very expensive book. And I'm sure whosoever has read it has learned a lot from this particular book of social physics. There's a question from Lobdhak Ghosh. What will be the impact of the transition era of transformation of digitization of education taxonomy on the educational basics of children? Will the cause any adverse psychological effect on them when physical activities via group study strategies turns into a digital platform based non-physical activity? No. See, please remember, it is going to be a hybrid model. It is going to be a hybrid model, but there would be schools would be schools are adopting hybrid model, and but how long they will keep themselves with the hybrid model, that's a $1 million question. But yes, the different kinds of strategies would be there in place, but it is going to play a very important role on that, this I can say. And the physical activities, yes, it has lessened a lot, but the access to resources have gone manifold. That's the thing. And today, one of the important thing is that today, because of these kinds of digital learning platform and all, I have experience with my own daughter, and I found that today there is no boundary. Today, if she, like for example, if she wants to pursue something in sociology or psychology, I can get her connected to somebody in US or UK or somebody who is doing a similar kind of a course, that what are the preparations she should take for that, for entrance examination and all. So there is always a plus point when we talk about this kind of technologies are there, because it helps a lot to our people. It helps a lot. It come out with the solutions always.
Are there more questions? Anybody? Sir, there's one thing I would like to ask you. My subject being English, I would like to please, sir, please once again, please clarify the difference between digitalization, and digital transformation. I found it very interesting. Please, sir, once again.
Okay. See, digitization means suppose you have a, say, for example, you have a paper with you, you scan it, you convert it into a PDF form. Okay, so this is basically nothing but a digitization process. Digitization. You are digitizing the document from a physical one, from a print to digital format. So that is a digitization. Now, for example, if you are putting it on a system and which is accessible to the n number of people and all, like 24 into 7 n number of people and all. So, or probably when it is a process or a system in place. So it is generally called as a, when we talk about a process, actually, basically that's the thing, it's a continuous process. It is called as digitalization. It's an adjective actually, because since you are an English teacher, so you will understand more. And digital transformation is more at an enterprise level. When, like in Terry, we have digitized it, but because of COVID, we put everything in a robust system where every process became digitalized. And today, when I go back to my previous institution and see, I find that there is a complete digital transformation has taken place. So that is where every person, every individual, every every person in the organization, he is into that platform and he is working on that platform. So speed, reach, transparency, accessibility, so these things have gone manifold. So these are some of the verticals, very important verticals as far as digital transformation is concerned.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, is there any other question? Shishir, should we continue with our next step, or Shishir, Kaushik, could you kindly let me know? Is there any further question, or should we move on?
No question from the Zoom platform.
Okay, please continue.
No question from YouTube.
Please continue.
No question, ma'am.
Okay, no question. Okay, fine. Okay. All right. So that comes, we come to the end of the question answer round. Now, I would like to request my colleague, Mr. Shomorish Adok, Assistant Professor, GCM College of Education, to kindly wind up the session and give us the concluding remarks. Shomorish, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, yeah, you're just audible. You're fine.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon to everybody, honorable dignitaries and distinguished guests, respected principal ma'am and my colleagues and dear participants. Being the member of the organizing committee and faculty members of this college, it's my privilege to propose concluding remarks of this webinar on behalf of this institution. First of all, our heartfelt thanks goes to our respected principal madam, Dr. Serosi Palta Singh, who always motivates and guides us to adopt new and innovative ideas. In her speech, she rightly pointed out the implications of digital transformations in this pandemic situation. And after that, in the opening of the theme session, our beloved sir, Mr. Prasanto Kumar Mondal sir, the convener of this webinar, beautifully explained all aspects of digital transformation of Learning Resource Center on the futuristic point of view. He mainly pointed out how digital tools become the part of the life in the pandemic has given the opportunity to develop the digitization of learning system. And also he pointed out the 19th century, there is a vast change in technological applications. He mentioned some keyword, that is ebook, internet archive. And he also mentioned that the last 10 years, there is an immense change in immense change in internet application, that is Google Book, internet archives. And also there is a vast change in process of learning systems digital ebooks, digital archives, and also open library systems. He mentioned academic research in Netherlands and digital library catalog systems. He also spoken about lots of things which we never heard in previous in before. And after that, it's our proud privilege to have such an eminent personality, Dr. Shantanu Ganguly, Chief Librarian, AIMS New Delhi, among us as distinguished guests for keynote address of this webinar. Sir mainly focus on the digitization system, sir mainly focused on the digitalization, and after that digital transformation. Sir beautifully explained this, and I think everybody it is clear to everybody. And sir mentioned the term game changer. That is very beautiful term, game changer process, which is coined by James Carton. And in the game changer system, sir mainly point the 5 key topics, and that is first of all content for purpose or mission of the project, and then speed, reaction capacity, which indicates the reaction capacity, transparency means that point out that the detect and correct errors before the client does it, innovation based in category, that also not enough in a highly competitive market. And last of all, the last point is performance. Everything can be measured. And sir also point out the keyword, the digital kindergarten term. And I have said that the digitization and digitalization, and then after that digital transformation. We have too many miles to go for the digital transformations. And sir also spoken about that content, context and technology, that is CCT, that is most important thing. Connecting the dots by Steve Jobs. And also sir pointed out beautifully that the transformation strategies, that is Vision 2020, Vision 2030, Vision 2050. And sir beautifully explains that the SMART strategy, that is sustainable, S means sustainable, M means measurable, A means achievable, R means reliable, T means transformational. After that, sir pointed out that the people to people connectivity, that is people, process, product, technology. And also sir pointed out the package resource for DEX research. And sir also mentioned that the very important marketing strategy which we can use in library systems, that is web analytics, user analytics, resource analytics, quality analytics, and media analytics. Sir also advised to read a book, 3 Box Solutions. Sir also pointed out and keyword the return of investment, equitable access, online journals, online database, digitized in-house resource. Sir also addressed the TERI, that is the Energy and Research Institute, a research institute in New Delhi. TERI KMS, Knowledge Management Systems. Sir also pointed out the SWOT analysis, that is strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. Last of all, sir pointed out the reinforcement learning, a technology with human touch. Behind every tweet, share, and purchase is a person like you and me. Last of all, social media analytical tools, sir also pointed out. And last, sir advice to everybody that digipreneur, never before in the history of the planet have so many people on their own had the ability to find so much information about so many things and about 50 many others people. And last of all, I am concluding that hearing his words, every participant's minds are resonating with new dimensions of learning resource center in the futuristic applications. If we can proceed on the way he shows, a new horizon of learning resource, will open to us. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Shomoresh. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Just a quick question. Is somebody called Lubdha Ghosh? If she is there, I just want to see her. She has posted a very interesting question. I want to see her. If can she put on her video? Lubdha Ghosh.
He's our student, sir. He's our student.
Lubdha Ghosh. Okay. So
তোমার ভিডিওটা অন করো
so
লুব্ধ।
Lubdha Ghosh. Lubdha, we have asked a very interesting question. I want to see you. Your questions are very interesting to me. You mentioned that how will the digital study strategies after the affect the social relationship sensing of children, which are important for the social development of each individual of the coming future. Yes, Lubda, you have addressed a very pertinent questions. I appreciate that. Well, what is most important in today's context? Digital technology is only a facilitator.
Yes, sir.
But it is just a facilitator. It is a technology which is a facilitator. It provides a service. It takes you to a different level. But in that context, you cannot leave your social culture. You cannot leave your social culture. In fact, you are a Bong, I am a Bong, and many of them are Bong here itself. And I mean, as an India, one of our core strength, our pillar is social culture and social strength.
Yes, sir.
So relationship is not going to get damaged, but probably it will enhance a lot. It will enhance a lot.
But whenever there is a transition period in every time, I just have a little knowledge on history, on basics. It's really not related to the word basics. I can say that whenever there is a transition era, there is some kind of shifting, or some kind of you can say in Bengali it's a bikriti. I just forgot the English meaning of the
Yeah.
word.
Yeah, it's
What?
basically it's a metamorphotic change.
Yes, sir.
Metamorphotic change which takes place.
Yes, sir.
So
Is
see,
this kind of change?
One thing. See, look, dog, please understand.
Yes,
Right
sir.
now, I am in Ames. I am not in Kolkata, but I
Yes,
am
sir.
talking to all of you all over world. So this is what basically technology is providing you. Asking is getting me connected socially with you and with the entire fraternity who is sitting and listening to me. So technology has provided a mileage to us to go beyond a certain level. But in that case, we cannot lose our social culture. We have certain things which has to be followed. Which has to
Yes,
be
sir.
followed. But please remember, whenever there is a transformation, it is never smooth. It is never ever. There is always crevices you will find. There is always a trough you will find. There is always a kind of a wavelength you will see. It is never smooth.
So, sir,
It is
my
never
question
smooth.
is
It
in
cannot be a
that
smooth
point.
journey.
Yes, sir. So my question is that point, being an educationalist or being a future teacher, what will be our what will be our steps? What will be our vital steps to catch up that,
Yes.
so that we will lead the students in the good direction, so that they can use this platform as a very for their further innovations, not the other purposes.
Yes. So basically, teacher has to play a very pragmatic role for this.
Yes, sir.
Teacher has to play. I am a teacher. I am teaching for the last 20 years. I teach students science of 11th, 12th, 10, 9, 10th, 11th, 12th. I have a batches I teach. I teach in library information science. I teach in management sciences. I teach in project management, knowledge management, analytics areas and all. So I know. So there is a radical change. See, the thing is that today's context, sometimes the teacher find that whatever I have learned, it is okay. No, there is nothing. In fact, one of my very strong, very close friend, his name is Mr. Ganesh Natarajan, who brought who is the chairman of the APTEC once. He wrote a book on, in the book, the first page was written, knowledge. What is knowledge? The word knowledge was broken down into three major components. It's called knowledge. Know means it's a growing system of knowing something. L means lifelong learning. And when you have both, you have an edge over others.
Yes, sir.
And it
I've
is a
got my point,
continuous
sir.
process.
Thank you, sir.
It is a continuous.
Thank you, sir. So we have to continuously mold ourselves. Thank you, sir.
Yes, we need a metamorphotic change. We need. The presentation which you saw today, Prashanto will tell me, see, I could have given you a complete library information science presentation also. But what the presentation I have given you today, it is my own experience in the entire digital transformation journey. And it is not one day, it is over the years I have experienced each and every component. And each and every slide I can speak for 1 hour. That kind of work I have done. And so you can imagine, see, my designation could be Chief Librarian as All India Institute of Medical Sciences, but I have made a radical change in my own teaching also. There are certain things which I cannot, take away, which are mandatory, which has to be done. Like subscription and, managing the library and all, it is all there, but it has its own dimension. But you won't imagine in AIMS, I am one of the integral part of the research on medical sciences.
So it's a really privilege to have you, sir, today, and I am really blessed so that I got answered by you.
Thank you.
Maybe the questions are silly or that not that much important, but it was my query, sir, to you. Thank you for answering, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ghosh. Thank you.
Thank you, Luptak. Thank you. Now, I would now request Dr. Paramita Bandyopadhyay, Organizing Secretary and Associate Professor, GCM College of Education, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Shoirenji.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, all. On behalf of GCM College of Education, New Barakpur, I take this opportunity to prepare vote of thanks to those who have directly and indirectly contributed to this webinar on digital transformation of Learning Resource Center for Futuristic Learning, organized by Department of Library, GCM College of Education. On behalf of GCM College of Education, New Barakpur, first of all, my sincere thanks to Almighty God for making today's event a grand success. On behalf of my college, I give really a heartfelt vote of thanks to our Chief Patron and President, GCM College of Education, Mrs. Chandrima Bhattacharya, Honorable Minister, Health and Family Welfare, who spent her busiest time gracing this webinar. Madam, today we had the opportunity to hear your thoughts, and this is definitely encouraging us in our future events. I would like to thank our respected patron and principal madam, GCM College of Education, Dr. Shreyoshi Palta Singh, for her valuable speech and enthusiastic support. I thank our chief guest and resource person, Dr. Shantanu Ganguly, Chief Librarian, B.B. Dixit Library, All India Institute of Medical Science, New Delhi. We are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence, sir. We are today humbled by your presence. Thank you once again, sir. No event can take shape without a hardworking leader. It was the dedication and enthusiasm of our convener, Mr. Prashanta Kumar Mondol, librarian, GCM College of Education. His determination is commendable, and it is his hard work which made this webinar a huge success. We are really thankful to our technical coordinator for their valuable technical support to make this webinar a success. I would like to thank Dr. Shoirindri Sen to coordinate the webinar from opening to end very nicely. A special thanks to the organizing committee, teaching and non-teaching staff for their unflinching support and coordination. And our heartfelt thanks to all participants and students for their active participation. With these warm words and a kind message, we move to the end of today's webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Prashanto. Thank you, Dr. Shoirindri Sen. Thank you, Paramudadi.
Thank you.
Thank you, all my beloved participants. Can I take leave now?
Can I take leave now? Many thanks you,
So
sir.
we will now conclude with the national anthem. The feedback link has been provided. We would now like to request Akash sir to kindly play the national anthem. The sound is not audible. Sir, the sound is not audible.
तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Sir, can we take leave now?
Yeah, now this is the concluding session.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank
you,
you,
everybody.
sir.
Thank you, everybody, for your cooperation and grand success. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Let's leave.
Okay, madam.